All right, so our goal in lesson 3 will be to divide polynomials. So again, lesson 3 starts with an opening exercise. This opening exercise is designed to reinforce what we learned in lesson 2. Where it says in part A, multiply these polynomials with the tabular method. And then in part B, how can you use the expression in part A to quickly multiply these particular values in this given case. And so if we were to take a look at this, we would of course need to build a box if we're going to use the tabular method. This is going to be a 2 by 3 box. So we can do that. We can build a box this way. We can put a line horizontally this way. And then we can divide this up into 3 parts. One here, and then if we fill this in, again we'll put it on the right hand side this time. If I was to put 2x and then plus 5, and then up here we would write x squared plus 5x and then plus 1. So if we multiply these out, right, we can start with the first row. X squared times 2x is 2x to the third power. 5x times 2x is 10x squared. Let's make that look like a 10 and not an 8. So we have a 10x squared, and then we have a 2x. Here would be a second row, 5x squared, and then 25x, and then 1 times 5 will be 5. So if we take and add the like terms, remember the like terms, if the box is set up correctly, will show up in diagonals, and then we get our final answer of 2x to the third, and then we add these two like terms, we get 15x squared. 25 plus 2 is 27x, and then we have a plus 5 here on the side. So again, they ask us how can we use the expression part A to quickly multiply 25 times 151. Well, we can take the components that we got from up here in the top and then multiply them simply by putting a 10 into each one. So this would be 10 to the third, and then we have plus 15 times 10 squared plus 27 times 10, and you can add 5, and then that would be an alternate way to do that. So that's just a recap of lesson 2. Again, this lesson is going to primarily be about dividing polynomials, so using the tabular method still. So this is kind of an exploratory idea, something to think about, is in this particular piece, does 2x to the third plus 15x squared plus 27x plus 5 divide by 2x plus 5? And that's what we're going to explore. Now again, remember, this is coming off of our opening exercise, so if I do go back, if you notice what we're dividing into, that was the result that we did get right here as our answer. And so now what we're doing is we're taking it and we're using it as this piece here, and we're going to divide it by here to see if we get this answer here. And so we use what we know to be able to go further. So we have our dividend, so we're going to put our dividend here. And so this would be our divisor, 2x, and then plus 5. And then remember what we had these arrows that were pulled out for like terms. And so for that idea, that's how we got these answers here. So we had our 2x to the third, we have our 15x squared, we have our 27x, and then we have our 5. We'll just put positives on all of these to remind us. And so what we're trying to do is we're trying to go backwards and figure out what would go up in these positions here. Would it be x squared plus 5x plus 1 or not? So we're kind of undo what we've done. So for example, we know that this 5 would go in this box. So we would have a positive 5. Likewise, in the other corner, because this is the only like term for this arrow, we know that 2x to the third would go here. So by doing this, remember, to get this box up here at the top, this open space, we would do 5 divided by 5. And so I find out that I get a plus 1 right here. Same reason if I was to want this front panel right here, I could do 2x to the third divided by 2x. So 2 divided by 2 is 1. We subtract the exponents, x to the third, x to the first power. So 3 minus 1 is 2. And so we get 1x squared. Now, we can use this information that we've discovered, this part in red, to help us fill in some of the boxes to find missing information. So for example, if I lean back on what we did in lesson 2, I know that if I want to know this box, I can do 1 times 2x, and I get 2x. So now this box here and this box here has to add together to give me this 27x. So I'm trying to think in my mind, 2x plus what would give me 27x? And we come up with this idea of 25x. 25x plus 2x would give me 27x. So then I can apply the same idea where I just divide. 25x divided by 5 would be 5x. So we would put a positive 5x right here. Now that does confirm that we did get x squared plus 5x plus 1, which is what we were looking for. These two boxes are not necessary to get. Now if you like to fill them out, there's nothing wrong with that. 5x times 2x would be 10x squared. And we'll use this to check to make sure we actually got this, just for interesting ideas. So x squared times 5 would be 5x squared. And again, you can see that 10x squared plus 5x squared is 15x squared. And so that kind of describes the process in terms of how this is going to work. Now again, if it looked like it went too fast, watch this one again before you move on to another one. I'm going to model a few more in this idea. So if we looked at number 3, it says use reverse tabular method of multiplication to find the quotient. So this time they did not tell us what the quotient's going to be. They want us to figure that part out. So what did we do? Let's orient ourselves as to what's happened. They put the divisor, the x minus 2, here on the side, x minus 2. We put the dividend, the piece that we're dividing into. These were the parts that would be coming out as like terms. And so we take advantage of the first corner and last corner. This negative 10 we can put back in this box, exactly as is. This 2x squared automatically goes back into this box. So remember, if I'm going to divide, I could do negative 10 divided by negative 2, and I'm going to get positive 5. If I want to know this one, I can do 2x squared divided by x, and I'm going to get 2x. So I find out that my result is going to be, after I divide, is going to be 2x plus 5. Now again, these other two boxes are not necessary. We did not need them to attain this answer. However, if we wanted to fill them out, we could do 5 times x and we get 5x. And if we do 2x times negative 2, we get negative 4x. And you can see that negative 4x plus 5x is in fact that x value. Again, that was not necessary to do, but was optional to do if you feel the need to do so. So we've seen 2 of these, and when we go to number 4, they don't give us a box already set up to build, so we have to build a box. And so to create our own table, we need to think of a strategy. Now you can either just trial and error and get your box to work, or you can take a look at this table advice. And in this table advice, it says the number of rows will be 1 more than the degree of the divisor. So let's find that. The degree of the divisor is right here. The degree of the divisor is 2. So if that's the case, then we are going to expect to have 3 rows. So let's keep reading. It says the number of columns will be 1 more than the difference between the degree of the dividend and the degree of the divisor. So let's see, let's go back. Here's the degree of the dividend. The degree of the divisor is 2. So if we do 4 minus 2, we get 2, right? So we'll just make a note of that. 4 minus 2 equals 2. And then so the number of columns is 1 more than the difference. So if we got a 2, if we go up 1 more, that means we're going to have 3 columns. That's what we're going to need to make that particular piece work. So let's build that, right? 3 by 3, it means we need a box. So we'll put in a 3 by 3 box. Let's get the box drawing tool. We'll draw a square. All right, we may make that square look a little bit bigger for our purposes. And then we're going to subdivide that square. So we'll go down right here, go down right there. We'll come across, and we'll come across. And so when we fill this in to multiply, we're going to put x squared. Now remember this, we have a placeholder here, plus 0x, and then plus 1. Remember our arrows on the side. Here, 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 and here. This is where we're going to, oops, let's get rid of that. That's where the dividend is going to be written. So right, our dividend's in the numerator. So here we have x to the 4th. The next arrow is going to be 4x to the 3rd. This is going to be 3x squared. This will be 4x, and this will be 2. Remember, these are all positives. You don't have to write the plus signs, but if there is a minus sign, you do need to write the negative sign. And so what we're going to do is we're going to use this information to help us figure out what the result is if we divide. Remember, we want to know what happens if we divide these polynomials together. So what we do is we're going to take this box right here in the bottom. We're going to move it directly into there because that's a good spot to go. And then this one automatically gets to go into this box. We can't put the other ones in because there are 2 missing terms here. Here there are 3 missing terms, and here there are 2. So we can't start with those. But once I have that, I can do 2 divided by 1, and I'm going to get a positive 2. Here I can do x to the 4th divided by x squared, and that's going to give me x squared by doing 4 minus 2. So we find out that with very little work, I can find the first term and I can find the third term. The middle term, we're going to do a little bit of work to be able to get into that piece. So to do that, we're going to fill in what we know. 2 times x squared is 2x squared. If I did 2 times this would become 0x. If I did this one, x squared times 0x would be 0x to the third. And then x squared times x is x squared. And so now, remember, we have to be able to get 3x squared, right? So let's just circle that and remind ourselves. We have to get 3x squared. So we're going to add up. I got 1x squared plus 2x squared. Well, that's already 3x squared. I don't need anything else. So what happens is we can put a 0x squared here, which would make sense being that we have a placeholder row for a part that isn't there. So that means there's nothing in this particular location. And so just for a temporary placeholder, this would end up being 0x. So what is my final answer? Obviously, you're not going to want to write x squared plus 0x plus 2 as your final answer. You're going to want to write x squared plus 2 as your final answer. That is the result that we would get in this given case. Well, let's look at that again, because that might not be right. Let's see. Well, let's go back. I think we might have overstepped our bounds, and that's okay. I apologize. If we have this one here, this is 0x. This one is just not a good row. And so if we have this one, this is 0x, we have to get a 4x here. This one here, look at that. This has to be 4x. So now if I do 4x divided by 1, I'm going to get 4x. So we do have something that appears right there. Now, just to make sure we are actually okay with that, we've got this one right here. We can verify this is 0x to the third, and we can have 4x to the third right there as well. And so 4x to the third divided by x squared does give us 4x again. And then to verify the middle, 4x divided by or multiplied by 0x is 0x squared. So our final answer is actually x squared plus 4x and then plus 2. Right, so here's one to try. If you have not already tried one on your own, you could try this one. It says test your conjectures, use the reverse tabular method to find the quotient. So you might want to pause the video, give it a try. If you think you need to watch another one, then that's fine. You could just continue watching the video, otherwise pause it. I'm going to continue. So we need to know how many rows, how many columns that we're going to need. So remember the number of rows. So we'll make a little note. The rows is one more than the divisor. So this is a 2. So we're going to need 3 rows. For the number of columns, right? The number of columns, we need to find the difference between the degree of the dividend and the degree of the divisor, and then add one more. So we have 5 minus 2 is 3. We go one more than that, we're going to need 4 columns. So when we build this one, right, we're going to need more of a rectangle design this time. 3 rows, 4 columns. We'll see if that fits. So let's see, 3 rows. So there's 1 row, 2 rows, and 3 rows. And then we need 4 columns. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Right? right? And again, if they're not perfectly spaced out, that's okay. We're just looking for a place to write. So we fill in what we know. We're going to write x squared. We're going to have a placeholder of 0x and then a plus 4. On the outsides, right, we have our arrows for our like terms. And so those values are going to be 3x to the 5th. Here we have a negative 2x to the 4th. Here we have a positive 6x to the 3rd. Negative 4x squared. A negative 24x. And a positive 16. Right, so let's go for the ones that are easy to pick up on. Right, this 16 has to go in this box. That means if I do 16 divided by 4, I'm going to get positive 4. So I've parted my answer already. If I place this one into the box in this corner, 3x to the 5th, and I divide 3x to the 5th divided by x squared, we're going to get 3x to the 3rd. 3x to the 3rd. And so we're going to use that information to kind of squeeze into the middle and see what we can find out. This time we'll be a little bit more careful. So 4 times x squared is 4x squared, and 4 times 0x is 0x. So that means I can find this box. A 0 plus something has to give me negative 24x. So that's going to have to be negative 24x. So that's enough information to actually get the next part of my answer. Negative 24x divided by 4 is negative 6x. And so I can use that. Now, if I wanted to flip to this side, if I know this corner, I can now get this box here. 3x to the 3rd multiplied by 0x. That would have to be 0x to the 4th power. That means this box and this box have to add up to equal this one, which makes this one negative 2x to the 4th automatically. That's enough information for me to get this last piece. Negative 2x to the 4th divided by x squared. That's going to give me negative 2x squared. So that gives me my final answer. I do not need to fill in the rest of these boxes. They are not necessary. You're welcome to do them. They're just multiplication at this point for filling them in. They are not a part of your final answer. So again, your final answer is 3x to the 3rd power minus 2x squared minus 6x and then plus 4. All right, the last part we'll just kind of leave as optional. If you want to practice these, you can. I think really exercises 1 through 5 are better than 6. But there's nothing wrong with exploring these if you want to. So next up should probably be the problem set and or asking me questions if you have any other questions on something that you don't understand. Thank you.